welcome back. It's so lovely to see you again. I took a week off the podcast. I had some family visiting to come to Vancouver. My boyfriend's brothers came over the weekend and it was just such a lovely time. We celebrated his birthday. We went out. My family prepared a ginormous Filipino buffet for them again, just like we did last year. It was an amazing week, and so I'm back into the routine, back into filming the huge. Today I wanted to talk about fasting and the healing properties that fasting brings to our brains, our bodies, mental clarity, emotional clarity, and more. I started fasting consistently last year around June 2022 when I first learned of intermittent fasting. I watched this presentation by Dr. Jason Fung, and it's on YouTube. It's like a 40-minute presentation. He talked about the amazing benefits of fasting and how our hormones play a massive role in weight loss. The reason I was super interested in fasting and weight loss in the first place was actually because during 2020, I was walking my German Shepherd dog. Her name is Jupiter. She's 70 pounds, and we went to the dog park. And while we were walking, these two ginormous dogs, there was one husky and another dog, but they were definitely over 80 pounds, but they were running towards my dog who was right beside my knee. And so I thought they would stop, but they did not stop. They actually rolled on top of Joopy, and all three over 70-pound dogs crashed into my knee, and I fell. And all the humans at the dog park saw that I fell. I couldn't get up, and they actually rushed and physically picked me up. All four of the women that were there at the dog park, they picked me up and they had to put me on a bench. And I had to call my mom and my brother to rush me to the hospital because I tore a knee ligament and I could not walk for months. So during this period where I couldn't walk for months, I became really sad. You know, I was typically an active girl, so I couldn't walk. Felt like my mental health went down the drain. I was really, really stressed. And so I ate a lot of food to cope. And during therapy, I learned that one of my unhealthy coping mechanisms is actually the sugar addiction. Because of that temporary dopamine hit, I get addicted to eating sugar to feel temporary dopamine, to stop the pain or the stress or whatever mental state of emotions I was in at the time. So because of that, I gained a lot of weight really quickly. My confidence dropped. I couldn't fit into any of my clothes. I was really sad. You know, I had to buy a new wardrobe. I felt like my style didn't suit me. My self-esteem wasn't too good. At the same time, I felt like I was also going through a second puberty. So it was just back-to-back factors. And I felt like I really tried almost everything to lose weight. You know, I did the calorie deficit. I changed my workout routine. I worked out longer. I was doing a mix of at-home workouts, but also going at the gym at the same time. It was tough because I didn't feel results and I didn't see them consistently. So I felt a lot of hopelessness. And last summer I was really done. I was really tired of feeling low energy, low vibe, just not in a good space, not confident. And, you know, as a woman, your confidence is so important. It really does impact how you show up for yourself, how you show up for the people in your life, just everyday life in general. And so I was just tired of feeling almost out of control. So while I was in therapy, we really worked on the root cause of the sugar addiction, which was the stress, which was the unhealthy coping mechanisms, and we worked on implementing healthier coping mechanisms. And I talked about this in my last episode on self-soothing and healthier alternatives for coping mechanisms to relieve stress and relieve anxiety, which I've started implementing, and my life has just been incredible since. But there is a root cause to destructive patterns and destructive habits that if you don't get to the root cause of, you might be neglecting. Typically, unhealthy habits are just symptoms of a deeper root cause. That is something that I wanted to emphasize, because it's one thing to look in the mirror and, you know, not like your body image, but it's also one thing for it to be a part of a bigger problem, and that bigger part of the problem is exactly what you want to address. I moved out with my boyfriend last year, and this was also a really big part of rediscovering and taking charge of my routines, my diet, my wellness, because I had that opportunity. I had the opportunity to cook for myself, to find what I love, to do the workout classes and routines that are brand new to me that I didn't know that I would love yet. And so I really took my healing journey seriously. In addition to being in therapy and taking care of my emotional health and physical health and mental health, this was around the time that I truly took accountability for my routines and overall wellness, because this was my first time being independent and learning how to do things on my own and also take care of my man. Decided, enough is enough. I want to make a big change. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel excited. I want to feel high energy. I want to feel like myself again. I want to be proactive about my health and my wellness. Did so much research in terms of the foods, the vitamins, the herbs, the science of intermittent fasting. And so I wanted to talk about those findings today, and how if you are in a space where you are interested in doing intermittent fasting, or curious about how I lost over 30 pounds, changed my wellness routine and diet, this is definitely for you. I love following thought leaders. Dr. Mindy Pelz, she is an amazing doctor that talks about intermittent fasting, specifically how it should sync up to women's cycles and the way that women should fast differently than men because of our hormonal cycles. And I also do love following Dr. Fung. He does great short form content on YouTube as well. All right, so the signs of intermittent fasting. Humans have been doing intermittent fasting forever. So our ancestors would go days without food. We evolved to have energy even after fasting, and this is because of a metabolic switch. They got energies from ketones produced in their bodies, and ketones are produced in a fasted state. So that metabolic switch is actually our bodies using glucose as a form of energy instead of food. Every time we eat, our blood sugar goes up because we're adding sugar into our bodies. Every form of food does this. It depends what type of food spikes our blood sugar more. There are types of food that spikes our blood sugar less. But essentially, that sugar becomes our body source of energy. And when there is no food, that sugar turns into glucose. This glucose is the fat that we've stored previously in our bodies from the last time that we eaten. And so that metabolic switch goes from us burning sugar to us burning fat. There are incredible benefits to fasting, and a lot of it depends on how long or how short you do fast. Depending on what types of fasts you do, the fast can heal your mitochondria, it can regenerate neurons, balances our gut health, and it also reduces the chance of developing cancer. Dr. Mindy Pelz actually talks about how there are 7 types of fasting. The first and most prominent is intermittent fasting, which is between 13 to 15 hours a day. The second is autophagy fasting, which is between 16 to 18 hours a day. During autophagy and intermittent fasting, you actually slow down your aging process and produce ketones, which gives you incredible mental and physical clarity. It gives you more energy as well. The third type of fast is called OMAD, which is 1 meal a day, and this type of fast prevents cancer. It also starts the process of cellular repair. It helps the brain prevent memory loss, and it also helps with anxiety and depression. The fourth type of fasting is called dry fasting, where you do not drink any liquids or any water at all. It helps improve mobility, it helps improve brain function, and it can also help you improve inflammation. The fifth type of fast is called a water fast. It happens between 36 and 48 hours. The water fast helps insulin go down and go after stored sugar. This is great for people who are really weight loss resistant and need those extra packs of sugar to be burned. This fast also creates stem cells, which seventh type of fast is called a fast mimicking, where it's not necessarily a fast, but it is a type of fast simulator in a way where the carbs are low, the protein's low, and there is a high fat diet involved. The limited calories and the low protein also help to create these stem cells and release them into the body. It's a great way to introduce fasting into your diet and also to train for longer fasts. So when it comes to women's hormonal cycles, we average having a 28-day hormonal cycle, and this can vary between woman to woman. It can be a little shorter, it can be a little longer, but day 1 of your cycle is when your bleeding begins. We have 3 important hormones: estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone, and these are all very low on day 1 of the beginning of a new cycle. Around day 11 to day 15 is when we start ovulating. And during the middle of ovulation, this is when estrogen peaks. And this is actually when women typically feel their most energized, the happiest, positive, because estrogen also carries neurotransmitters such as dopamine and serotonin, so you probably have more energy to work out, to be social, and to also love on your partner, love on your man. And around day 16 to day 18, this is when it dips. Your body is starting to make progesterone, and also your energy starts to lower, your energy slows down until day 19. This is when your body starts making progesterone, and this is the period where you do not fast at all. Progesterone is the hormone that prepares the uterus to receive a fertilized egg. And when there is no fertilized egg, the body stops making progesterone. When progesterone and estrogen levels decrease, this is when the uterus starts to shed the lining. This is also the beginning of your next cycle. So according to Dr. Mindy Pelz, there are 3 types of phases in your cycle. There's a power phase, a manifestation phase, and a nurture phase. They're also based on which hormones come into play at different times during your cycle. These phases are based on the hormonal influences in your cycle. There are 2 power phases, days 1 to 10 and days 16 to 19. Days 11 to 15 are your manifestation phase, and day 20 until bleeding is your nurture phase, and this is where you do not fast. But the perfect time to fast is during your power phase when your body is producing the most estrogen. When insulin levels drop when you fast, estrogen loves this. Dr. Mindy Pelz even recommends fasting up to 72 hours if you can during this time. During your nurture phase, which is days 20 onward, if you do fast during this phase, it will be hard for progesterone to come into your body because of the amount of cortisol it will receive. Your body won't function as properly as it should, and it also needs more sugar and carbs during this period of time. So when your body is making progesterone, don't be afraid to up the sugar, up the carbs, and do not fast during days 20 onward. I highly recommend reading the book Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. She really dives in such detail about all of these topics and all of these phases in your cycle, so you can learn more about the types of food to eat, especially during different periods of your cycle, what fast she recommends for different types of goals that you have, and if you are completely new to fasting, how to start, and actively listening to your body so you can achieve those goals. So for me, when I started fasting last year, I would not eat until 2 p.m. and I love going out to dinners all the time. So my eating period would be from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. so I can always go out and socialize with friends, especially in the summer when the sun doesn't go down until late. I've recently changed that, so I've changed my fasting period between 12 to 8 now, or 1 to 9 now, just to make more space for breakfast and lunch because my body has adjusted quite differently over the past year. Honestly, being really consistent and not breaking my 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. fast in addition to low intensity workouts were what worked best for me. I also completely changed my diet when I started fasting in June. So because I used to eat rice and bread almost every single meal when I lived at home, because that's part of the Filipino diet, is, a lot of carb heavy, pork heavy, rice heavy meals and not too many vegetables. And so when I moved out with my man and I started cooking for both of us, that changed for me. So instead of having those carb heavy meals, I would replace them with salads that I loved and vegetables that I loved. And salad that I would actually make almost every day would be a combination of bell peppers, cucumbers, feta cheese. I'd sprinkle in some pepper, some salt, and Josh and I would eat that salad almost every day. It was delicious, and feta cheese has so much protein, so it keeps you so full. So I would eat a lot of protein and I would eat a salad instead of carbs. It made such a huge difference in my energy. Overall, I had so much mental clarity. I felt like I didn't have as much brain fog before. And when those ketogens hit, I could really feel it because it just feels like you are on this runner's high almost, where you just have so much energy that you can just keep going, working. I didn't feel that mid-level day crash that I usually do when I eat a lot of bread and I feel like I have to take a nap, or I feel like I have food baby, or I'm more bloated than usual. That really went away for me. And because I was feeling so good, I cut down on a lot of my sugar as well, learning how to cope with my stress so much better. Instead of eating, I would go on a walk or I would do yoga, and it felt really good. It felt super good. I'm not as strict as I was before in my weight loss phase. I'm more of in a maintenance phase now. I also reintroduced more carbs into my diet now, especially during the period of day 20 onward in my nurture phase. I absolutely love gnocchi and pasta and cheese, and oh my gosh, I just do not hold back during that phase of my period, and it has made a huge difference for me. In terms of my wellness routine, I stopped going to the gym because it wasn't really my thing. I did fall in love with reformer Pilates and also Legree, which is a more intense version of reformer Pilates. Legree is very strength based and very cardio based, so there's no breaks in between moves. You just keep going. The weights can be really heavy, it can be really intense. It's a full body workout, but I love how it's always 45 minutes and it's always different, so your body just keeps up. It builds so much endurance. It also gives you that ballerina figure where you are lengthening your body and keeping really lean but strong. I also fell in love with the mindfulness of yoga and how yoga makes me feel so present, and there's so much emphasis on breathing and mind-body connection. Going on walks in the summer and the fall are just incredible for fresh air, but I cut out all high-intensity workouts. I don't do spin, I don't do weightlifting, I don't do HIIT. I just love really feeling the muscles in my body strengthen through slow and steady movements. I find that works best for me. Oh, and if I want something more intense, I've also introduced barre into my workout routine. It's a combination of ballet, yoga, and Pilates, and it gets super intense because you have these like 2 to 3 pound weights that you carry for your upper body. There's so much movement for your upper body, and I actually did a wellness and workout daily routine on my YouTube channel if you guys want to see what a week of workouts looks like for me, incorporating Legree and barre into my split. I'll probably work out 2 to 3 times a week consistently, get my steps in, go on daily walks, but really just listen to my body. Maybe not even work out at all if it's too much, because sometimes, especially during the nurture phase, or even when I start bleeding, my body feels weaker than usual and more tired, so I don't push myself to work out on those days. Maybe go on a walk, or maybe not even go out at all. If you live in Vancouver, there's this studio called Jaybird, which I love. It feels like a spiritual experience. There are no mirrors. It's pitch black. You're really there to feel and use your senses to connect to your mind and your body. Go in there and move without judgment. And it has such good and loud music that you can really feel in your bones and just absorb and cry even if you need to. I love the class called The Bird, which is a mix of all their classes, and I love the breath work that's incorporated in that class. Breathwork has been a game changer for me in terms of just the mindfulness and learning how to feel present and sit with my own body and let my thoughts come in and out during meditation and mindfulness. But yeah, honestly, consistently doing intermittent fasting and cutting out sugars and also changing from high intensity to low intensity workouts were really the key in conjunction to losing over 30 pounds in 6 months. And it wasn't even like, yes, it was a physical transformation, but it was so much of a mental and emotional and spiritual transformation. It was a really transformative experience. If you are in this phase of really learning how to heal and accept and love yourself and doing all these things for yourself because of love and because of abundance and because you want the best for yourself, you know you want to show up the way that you do because you're reaching your full potential, That is the mindset behind this. You want to be able to exercise and move your body and clear your mind and have better energy because you love yourself fully and wholly and you accept yourself, not because you dislike yourself. That's not the reason we're doing these things. We're doing these things because we want to show up with love and because we want to manifest the most incredible things that are meant for us in our lives by making sure we put ourselves first. And by taking care of our health, we're only able to take care of others by pouring into our own cup first. I hope this helped all of you. Again, the book Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz has been a game changer, and also Dr. Jason Fung's book The Obesity Code and his YouTube channel. Also, Dr. Mindy Pelz has a YouTube channel as well. They both are just incredible doctors, and they have so much more in-depth content about fasting, specifically for women, and how we can do it more intuitively and intentionally without hurting our hormones. And yeah, it was just an incredible experience. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, please feel free to DM me at upaboutpodcast on Instagram or at Isabel, YZOBEL. I hope you have an amazing day and see you guys in the next episode. Bye, guys.